routes could be roads, railways, or rivers, where two or more routes meet. A sublinear settlement is formed, and this sublinear settlement is called a nodal settlement. Now, when a settlement is formed as a result of the meeting of two rivers, such settlement is called a confluence settlement, and such settlement is what we have in Nigeria. In Nigeria, we have in Lokoja in Nigeria. Number 3, we have the nucleated or the dense settlement. Here, the buildings are very close to each other, and they are concentrated in a small area. Usually has many social amenities. Now, looking at settlement, the urban to the rural to the urban settlement. That's what we call hierarchy of settlement. Now you can see the hierarchy of settlement from this illustration here. Starting from the isolated dwelling, the hamlet, the village, the small town, to the large town, to city, and up to conurbation. So that's the hierarchy of settlement. Now, there is what we call settlement interaction. Settlement interaction. The urban and the rural settlements are interdependent. That is, they depend on each other for their continuous existence. And we have various interaction patterns like the urban-rural interaction, the urban-urban interaction, and the rural-rural interaction. Urban-rural interaction involves interaction between the urban settlement and the rural settlement. Whereas the urban-urban has to do with interaction between urban settlements within the urban settlements, and rural-rural also talking about the interaction within the rural settlement. Now, let's look at one settlement interaction. Now, number 1, we have a dependence of the urban settlement, dependence of the urban settlement on the rural settlement. Now, urban settlement depends on the rural settlement for the following. 1, provision of food, provision of unskilled labor supply, and medicinal herbs, raw materials. Because the rural areas or the rural settlements are involved in farming activities, they tend to provide food urban settlement. And most raw materials used in the industries are obtained from the rural settlement. Number 2, let's look at the dependence of the rural settlement on urban settlement. 1, the rural settlement depends on the urban settlement for manufactured goods, for markets, for employment, for higher education, for information, medical services, and for administrative headquarters. So let's take these few questions now. Number 1, it says, explain the term settlement. Settlement here involves collection of buildings with people living in these buildings. It could also be, referred to as the human activity, the center of human activities, which consists of houses, roads, tracks, etc. Let's take the next question. The next question here says, name 2 major types of settlement. 2 major types of settlement here are the urban settlement and the rural settlement. However, this is classification of settlement according to type. There are other ways in which settlement are classified. We could classify settlement also according to their pattern. That is how they are arranged. And with this, we can classify settlements into dispersed, linear, and dense settlement. Now, highlight any 4 factors that influence the location of settlement. 1 factor is favorable climate condition and weather condition. Another one is fertile soil, availability of water, and defense. These are some factors which influence the location of settlements. And number 4 question says, outline any 4 functions which an urban settlement can perform for a rural settlement. An urban settlement can, lead or provide manufactured goods, can provide markets for the selling or the buying of the raw materials produced by the rural areas. It can provide employment opportunities and medical services. So let's consider some geopolitical issues. This has to do with land reclamation. Land reclamation here is a process of recovering bad or wasteful land and turning it into a useful or beneficial purpose, such as residential, social, commercial, and industrial purposes. In Nigeria, reclamation of land is common in areas like Lagos, Calabar, Uyo, Port Harcourt, Warri, Bayelsa, etc. And reasons for land reclamation include insufficient land. Because of insufficient land, people tend to look at those areas of land that were initially not considered good enough and try to reclaim them in order to, make use of them. The population pressure. The pressure on the land that are good is increasing because of population increase also, and therefore there is need to source for other ways, to source for additional land areas in order to do what we have to do, and for residential purposes, commercial activities also, and industrial purposes, and finally for socio-cultural purposes. Methods of land reclamation. One is through afforestation. Afforestation here has to do with the development of forests, planting of trees, and another one has to do with the construction of barriers to prevent land from, waterlogging. Sand filling, construction of good drainages, and control of erosion. These are all methods for land reclamation. And what are the importance of land reclamation? Of what importance is reclaiming land to us? Does it mean we are wasting funds to do this, or does it mean that we are, making it to our own advantage? What is that? There's increase in land area, and there's also, agricultural, benefits. With this land reclaimed, it can encourage agricultural activities in those areas. It's also used for recreational purposes and creation of habitat for wildlife. And finally, we have environmental quality. I will take these questions. What is the meaning of land reclamation? Just as the name implies, land reclamation has to do with various ways or methods adopted to turn a land that was initially not useful, not good enough, to make it useful and good enough for any purpose. Number 2 question here says, mention 5 areas where land reclamation is common in Nigeria. We have Lagos, we have Calabar, Uyo, Rivers, Port Harcourt, River State, Warri, etc. Now, the last question says, explain 4 methods of land reclamation. One, we have afforestation. Afforestation has to do with the, development of forests, planting of trees, construction of barriers to prevent land from waterlogging. Barriers like embankments are being constructed to prevent water from waterlogging in a particular area, and thus preventing that area from being, useless, and making it useful for other activities like or other purposes. Now, sand filling, it has to do with bringing sand from a different location and dumping them in an area to fill it up and to make it suitable for other purposes. And we also have construction of good drainages. gutters, culverts. They enhance the free flow of water in an area. They also prevent the waterlogging in that area. Now let's look at GIS data. We'll talk about the data sources. Now, sources of data for GIS include 1. Land surveying. This involves measuring and mapping out the position and size as well as boundaries of an area of land. Another source is the remote sensing. Remote consists of the main sources of digital data for input in GIS. Remote sensing here provides a tool for environmental and natural resources management. And the next one is the map digitization, which involves extraction of data values from graphs. We also have map scanning. Existing maps of different scales containing different kinds of information about the area can be scanned and fed into the GIS. We also have information or sources of data from field investigation. And during public health emergencies, computerized information or information systems for data management, analysis, and communication may be needed within hours of beginning the investigation. And finally, we have another source of data here, which is the tabular data. This involves the use of data arranged in tables. Such data are analyzed and processed by computer to generate useful information relevant to GIS. And we'll take also these questions. Now, what is the full meaning of GIS? We have talked about GIS in a previous series of lecture, and we said GIS is the global or the geographic information system. And GIS is emerging and becoming so relevant in Nigeria and in other parts of the world today because of its wide applicability. And however, in Nigeria, GIS is still having some problems, some challenges, but with the solutions suggested earlier, if implemented, GIS can find a better place to stay in Nigeria and also to enhance, the sector, the academic sector, and other areas where it is applied. I would say mention 6 sources of GIS data. And we have 1, land surveying, 2, remote sensing, 3, map digitization, 5, map scanning, 4, map scanning, 5, we have field investigations, and finally, we have tabular data. So with this, we have been able to expose ourselves to the basis of geography, and we have learned about potential carriers and fields where we can venture into as a result of the understanding we get from the studies of geography, and how to also earn living with the course geography. Apart from this, it also enables us to get so aware of our immediate environment, the things that are happening over time, and the things that we expect to see changes over time. And when we see these changes, we know how to react, and we know what to do and what not to do in order to sustain our environment and to make it, a place to dwell in and freely and happily. So with this, I encourage you, to take the bull by the horn. You look at it carefully, you get the understanding, and you go for it. So I wish you best of luck in your future endeavors.